I'll take it.
Damn, girl, that felt good. Welcome to a Hungover podcast, the one and only podcast brought to you by Hungover Gaming. My name's Ivan over there.
Julien, welcome to the podcast, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I feel appreciated with that
Thank
welcome.
you, Ivan.
You know, and we want to extend that warm welcome to everybody and invite them to really have a good time by rating and reviewing us, especially on iTunes, so that other people can have that warm, good hello.
Hello, suggestions. Welcome to the show. Just in time, because we just started recording. Thank you very much for tuning in. Anyways, you can get this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play in audio form and video form on YouTube. And of course, you can be part of the conversation live on twitch.tv/jujubesgood, which is also auto-hosted by Ivan at twitch.tv/comradeboyar. We already did all those things. We're all ready to start this podcast out by asking each other, what media have you been consuming, Ivan? And what did you drink last night, man?
As I am still working my butt off, this week I actually I've been so overworked for the past 3 weeks. I literally got sick. I'm pretty sure simply due to exhaustion.
Oh.
So from Wednesday until today, I've missed some or all of days of work.
Wow.
At 2 different locations. So Wednesday I showed up to work and I was like, I feel awful. And everybody in the office
can
was
do that
get
to
the
you,
fuck
man.
out, or you're gonna get us all sick. So I went
Fair
home.
enough.
I made a chicken stock, a dope ass chicken stock.
A what?
A dope chicken stock.
Oh, okay. Dope ass. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like a French onion kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I caramelized onions in butter. Then I threw in chicken breast because that's what I had, and I was about to go to the store to get fattier chicken. Then I browned that just a little bit, added in water with all the accoutrement, blah blah blah. Cooked that for 3 hours, shredded the chicken, had egg noodles and a delicious bowl of chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Yeah.
And that was pretty much the media I consumed.
That is some media. And you've just reminded me that I'm actually making a turkey stock right now, and I need to turn off the burner right now. So if you could vamp for
I will
30 seconds,
continue
I will
talking
do that.
about the
Chicken
TV
stock.
shows.
Describe it
and
more.
everything
I'll be
working
right back.
So in terms of the games I've been playing this week, I didn't even feel up to playing FPSs this week. I just felt like I couldn't handle that level of stress, so I might have played a half hour or something of Black Ops. For a person who
I'm back.
started a
Okay.
YouTube gaming channel, I am playing almost no games. I did start another Rome Total War campaign with the Spanish after unlocking them via changing one of the text files of the base code.
Okay.
So in the original Rome Total War, you can only play 10 factions.
This guy's modding the game.
You can make them all. You can make all of them available, including the rebels, if you just change one text file. So I did that.
Rome Total
Yeah.
War.
I really wanted to figure out how to download mods for Rome Total War, but I think the game is so old, it's difficult to figure out where the mods are.
Damn.
I went to one of the websites, which was this is a super realistic Rome Total War mod, and the website didn't exist anymore. I mean, there are some, and if I actually wanted to spend time doing it, I could do it, but I'm just playing Spain happily.
Very cool. Very cool.
Which is difficult. I'll tell you why. Spain are some poor motherfuckers in that game. And so you have to capture Greece.
So you're purposely handicapping yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just for more fun.
Yeah, that's the essential point.
All right. I feel
I'm
like
enjoying
you should
it, though.
play a more modern game by playing Civ 6. I'm not kidding. I know we went over this last week, and you said it was too complicated. But you own the game.
It is complicated.
It's a very complicated game, let me tell you. And it just came out on Nintendo Switch, which is kind of nuts. It's also on iPad and iPhone, I think. So they just ported that version over, which is pretty cool.
I've really wanted to do a podcast where we just sit and play Civ 6. Dude, Civ Revolution, I'll play all day, though, because that's
on
uber
Xbox
simplified.
One now. But yeah, we could do a Civ 6 podcast. That would be pretty
Because
cool.
it's essentially just we talk to each other while nothing happens. Because we couldn't possibly record a gameplay, but I've always wanted to play
We could
against
record
Julien
the
in Civ
gameplay.
6.
Why not? We would totally
Because
do
it
that.
would be 12 hours.
Oh, you mean
edited
the
down to
entire
1
game?
hour.
12 hours is like a super short game of Civ 6, so I think it would be more like a 24-hour podcast.
We'd put in the mods that speed up the game.
Yes, those are the ones we need to download. But as for me, let's see what I've been doing. I've been working hard, still trying to graduate here. And
Lucky you.
my boss gave me like 15 more experiments to do all at once, of which I could do none because I didn't really have access to the correct instruments. But I'm working hard on getting those experiments done. I'm going to have to learn how to solder, which is something I
Dude,
don't know how to do. Yeah, no, I purchased the soldering iron and things like that, and things for soldering a wire, which I need to do.
Don't you work on like nanomaterials?
Yeah, but I have to
How are
characterize them electrically, so I need to I need to basically set up a 4-wire DC conductivity measurement, which is pretty cool. I'm basically hooking. I'm gonna be running. I have my material, which is essentially a powder. I'm going to press it into a pellet, so it's solid, and then we have this silver epoxy, which is has high low resistance, high conductivity. I'm basically putting 2 leads on a pellet, and then I'm going to, and of which I know the area. Then I need to hook up those leads to a power supply, a DC power supply, run a voltage, run a known current across it. Then I need to have, so I don't confuse the measurement to measure resistance, I need to have 2 of those probes from the power supply as well. So this is why it's 4 probe or 4 wire sensing. You put those on the electrodes as well. So you have 4 points of contact, 2 of which are measuring resistance, 2 of which are running a current across. So that's how you measure resistance, which you can then convert to conductivity, which is useful for under characterizing a material. And this is why I don't talk about my work on the podcast. But it's something fun. No, it's a very simple measurement.
So in high school, I was in IB physics, which is a 2-year course, and at the end of which you take the IB physics exam.
Sure.
During my first year of physics, I had a Romanian physics teacher she fell.
Good woman, sorry.
And broke her hip.
That's horrible.
So for the remainder of that year and the next year, we had substitutes who were awful.
Damn, dude. It sucks.
It was like the second year, it was fun, but he was out of his depth in terms of being able to teach to an IB physics level course.
Right, he was just your regular physics teacher, maybe, at substitute level. Yeah.
So we went to take the physics exam, and obviously there's an entire section on electricity.
Yeah.
And
electromagnetism.
Yeah. I studied physics on my own. However, I always got confused when it came to the electrical part.
It's the most complicated part of physics.
Right.
It's when shit doesn't make any sense.
I'm reading this, and I understand
it's also the
most
math
useful that
part,
goes into it. I have no idea how complete circuits work or what a resistor kind of does.
Resistors. Well,
I have since then kind of understood the basic grasp of these
mhm.
things and then lost it about 4 different times. Like every
Well,
single
yeah.
time somebody explains it to me, I'm like, yes, I remember this, I got this. And then about 2 hours later, I don't remember what I had for breakfast that day.
Well, if you're
So
not doing or working in the field, then it can be very confusing. So
yeah, but
yeah, I totally understand.
I tend to retain things, but for some reason, this section of physics just I cannot remember for the life of me any of it. Um, so when it came time to take that IB physics test, I was just like, I can figure this out. So I was using the
Hilarious.
questions and the like formula guide that they had at the end to attempt to figure out all of electrical physics in the like half hour I had to spend on that section during a 3 hour test or whatever.
You want to be really confused, you should look up what Raman spectroscopy is, because that's the
Oh
next thing I have
god.
to do. Don't
Ramen spectroscopy.
Raman. Raman.
Yeah, Ramen ramen.
Yes, Raman spectroscopy. That's what my dad is a Raman spectroscopist, and he calls ramen Raman, and it cracks me up every fucking time. But only that is such a niche nerdy thing to know, is funny that and he does it by accident because obviously it's just what he is. I mean, he calls guacamole, so that's another thing. My dad is
Oh,
a
that's
real
funny.
nerd. Ramen Spectrum
Ramen
Cable
spectrum
Network.
cable.
That is that's a better one. Don't look up Raman spectroscopy because even I don't really understand it. It's very confusing. It has to do with interaction of light and matter. But
Light
don't
can
look it
be
up.
a
Anyways.
wave
Light can be a wave,
or something else.
a particle, a
There we go.
photon. Yes.
So, in any case, we've just proven that there are many things, most of the things that are like useful in terms of application of math and science, that Julien is better than me at.
Finally.
We
Putting
just
that to
choose
great
all of
work.
the topics on this podcast, which I can talk about because Julien feels uncomfortable trying to get the general public to understand electromagnetism.
Look, I gotta work on that. All right. Science
I know, you're gonna be
education
the next
is
Carl
really
Sagan.
important. Is really important. But anyways, Yvonne, aside from that, I have been, working at work, and a game came out that on Friday that I was very excited about, called Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. And I streamed it on the channel. It was very fun on my Twitch channel. That game is on Nintendo Switch, and it's a remake of the Pokemon Yellow game that came out in 1997, I think, on the Game Boy Color.
Mhm.
That game, I love that game. And it was basically the third version of Pokemon, of the original Pokemon series. It's really cool. I mean, this game is not the next generational leap that you would come to expect from the Pokemon Company moving forward, putting Pokemon on not a handheld system, but on a home console for the first time. So this game is more of a casual approach to Pokemon, by integrating Pokemon Go, a very popular mobile game that came out 2 years ago, I believe. And that game is what we've got a lot of people playing on their phone worldwide, and really interested in Pokemon again. So this game is an attempt to get some of those people over, buy a Nintendo Switch and this game, and then you can transfer your Pokemon from Pokemon Go to the Nintendo Switch version, which is pretty cool. And they have all these the huge difference is, in fact, how you catch Pokemon. So it's much more like Pokemon Go. You use motion controls, or you can, if you're playing in handheld mode, you can just press a button. I found that it works fairly well. It's a little annoying to use motion controls in general, but it definitely works totally fine. And when you catch Pokemon, you get experience points for your Pokemon in your party. So that's how they got around getting rid of Pokemon battles, wild Pokemon battle encounters. You still battle trainers, and you go through the whole 8 gym badge situation, fight Team Rocket, that type of thing. So, nostalgia kicked in. I love that game as a kid. I still love Pokemon today, and I can't wait for the next Pokemon game to come out, which will be a mainline Pokemon game, the generation after Generation 7. So Gen 8 should be a fun game. This game, I think, is perfect it's a super casual game. It's very relaxing to play. You can literally you play it with one hand, which is super cool. So you can either play it with one Joy-Con, or you can purchase the Pokemon Go accessory, the Pokemon Plus. If you're a super Pokemon fan, you buy one of these, and
it's Nintendo
has a joystick on top. It's pretty sick. And has rumble, has an LED light, it's got a speaker, it says all the Pokemon names and shit, not the names, but their sounds. It's got a button on top. It's 2 buttons only for this game. I don't know why you would buy this. I bought it just to see what it was, and I love Pokemon. And you can play the game with one hand. It's pretty cool.
For the second, so that you can jack off on the other.
Yeah, of course. I have no problem playing with my left hand. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
I am super excited for the how there were games that came out after all of the Rock Band equipment was out, and then are like, here are alternatives to using your Rock Band equipment for not Rock Band games. I'm excited for the aftermarket Pokemon video game.
We'll see it actually doesn't work with any other games. I tried using it for other games. I was confused as to why they wouldn't just add that functionality. But otherwise, I think this game is super
They've got
cool.
all of the other controllers possible, Julien.
I know.
You greedy bastard.
You can even use your GameCube controller. I can't wait. But yeah, it's a fun distraction until we get to play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, of course. My girlfriend also got the game, so she's super into it. You can customize Eevee or Pikachu by adding cute accessories to them, like hats, and it's really lame, but it's kind of fun. It's a really relaxing game to play. If you're coming off your Black Ops 4 high and you just fucking killed 100 people in blackout mode, you're super hyped up, but you got to take a step back every now and then. All right, you got to tune it down and just relax for a little bit when you come home from work. All right, this is a fun game. I suggest people pick it up if they're into Pokemon. Other than that,
conquered the Mediterranean basin. Now what? Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go, exactly. Other than that, I started watching Dragon Ball again, which is a fantastic show. The precursor to Dragon Ball Z, of course. Super lewd.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it hold up to modern day standards of feminism, sexual harassment, and all that stuff? It does not. But by no means is this an acceptable show to show in 2018 with the Me Too movement. But that being said, it's still kind of funny because it's Master Roshi, man. This guy is disgusting. Is awesome. I'm sorry.
I think it's funny. Him. I could see. I mean, it's in a joking way. And of course, no one actually, well, that's a lie. People get sexually harassed in this show. But it's a very lighthearted show. It's a very funny show. He's the booby buster, of course. You could call him that. I think his personal favorite is the Pafu Pafu. That's what they kept saying. He's like, can I Pafu Pafu your tits, Bulma, please? Just let me do it. That's pretty much what he says, paraphrase.
What the hell does that mean?
I had to look it up. It's a Japanese alliteration of puff puff, which I still didn't know.
Motorboat?
Yeah, it's pretty much motorboat. That's what he wants to do. But it's actually having her boobs massage his face. This is getting a little out of hand. Look, Pafu, not my words. That's the show's words, all right?
You know what I forgot about Dragon Ball?
What?
The little
Launch?
pig man.
Oh, Oolong?
No, I never. Launch is one of my earliest crushes from anime.
And what is Krillin's girlfriend's name? Marin. Yes,
Marin, yeah.
Marin. We need to stop. You forgot about Oolong, the pig?
Yeah, Oolong.
He's in Dragon Ball Z.
dope.
He is dope. He's funny.
He is?
He turns yes. He's in Dragon Ball Z. He's a persistent character. Also, another cool thing about Dragon Ball is that every one of the Z Warriors is in Dragon Ball Z is a villain in Dragon Ball, essentially. Except for Master Roshi. Yeah, and Goku, of course. And Krillin, but like Yamcha, Tien,
But
Piccolo,
even Krillin
Oolong.
is initially an enemy.
Oh, is he? We didn't get to that part yet. I completely forgot everything about this show.
He's always trying to confuse and trap Goku. When they're students of Master Roshi's.
Cool.
He's always trying to get the upper hand.
Another thing, I didn't know that. Another thing, or maybe, I guess I sort of knew that. Another thing about the show is that it's only about 150 episodes as opposed to Dragon Ball Z's like almost 400 episodes. So it's a little easier to watch, I think. There's a lot less
Fluff.
filler in this show, I would say. But it is a slower show. There's not as much combat as in Dragon Ball Z. But still a super fun show. If you've never watched it, I think it's a nice look at the era of 80s Japanese anime. I think it's a really good snapshot of what 80s anime was like, or at least comedy anime anyways. Yeah, aside from that, that's what I did. I didn't drink anything this week. My boss gave me the professor that I teach for gave me 2 beers. I did drink something while I was grading things, which was pretty nice. Like after work, I had to grade some exams, and I got drunk while doing it. He gave me a two-hearted ale. Have you ever had this ale?
Yes,
I think
I've gotten
it's IPA.
very sick off of it.
You don't like it?
No,
because you drank so much.
So much. Okay, the first time I had Two-Hearted IPA is the night that I had a Manhattan,
well, there you
2
go.
more cocktails, wine, and Two-Hearted, and I threw up everywhere.
That'll do. So you don't drink it anymore, is what you're saying.
No, I do. I really like it, actually.
It's a great beer.
It's really good.
Very drinkable. Very drinkable. Just on its own. Doesn't need anything else. But probably be good with a burger or something like that. Maybe, possibly a Thanksgiving meal, Ivan?
Yes.
Perhaps?
I completely forgot that we talk about, like...
topics on the show?
No. Things that we drank during the week.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
there you go.
In terms of
Hungover podcast.
Because I had a really good Pilsner.
Nice. But you forgot the name.
And it's... I did. It was from World of Beers. So I went out to dinner. I had a double date this week.
Nice.
It was pretty fun. Very cool. So a colleague that I work with, her boyfriend is German. He's from Bavaria. And he's from a smallish town. And
so he's a beer snob, huh?
He is a super beer snob, by the way. But there's a beer, a Pilsner, that's produced about 10 minutes drive from where he grew up. Mm-hmm. In a town that's like 10,000 people big. Wow. That they sold at World of Beers.
So they export it throughout the world.
Yeah, it's one of the best Pilsners I've ever had. I really enjoyed it.
You should remember the name for the podcast.
Yeah.
If I really like something, I usually take a picture of it. So that's just a habit I have. But
No, that's I will do that
In
from
terms
now
of
on.
alcohol and meals, I guess, but not really meals, just the alcohol.
I hate taking photos of meals. I'm against
No,
it
yeah,
from a
I don't do that. Well, I'll do it
moral standpoint.
for instance, we had why I had to record the podcast early last week is because I had a Friendsgiving type of situation going on where we cooked Thanksgiving for all our friends, and so I took a picture of everyone with the meal. I think that was worth taking a photo of. But I agree. I think the whole Instagram. We had a podcast on this. Go.
Yes. The big meals are important to take photos of because it's a lot of effort. It's multiple hours of a lot of intense effort, and it comes down to about 30 minutes of eating and talking. And you know what? Sometimes that's hard to do. Now, 2016 might have been the hardest Thanksgiving that America has had to endure since the one where we were like, oh, thank you all for all your food, Indians. And then we killed them all.
I don't even remember.
And then the next year we were just like,
2016
sorry guys. So 2016 Thanksgiving, my sister boycotted because it was after the Trump election, and my dad
boycotted
voted
Thanksgiving.
She didn't come to my family's Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving in my family is really important because we came to this country in November, and like the first thing that we did basically as new American immigrants was celebrate Thanksgiving.
That's pretty cool.
We have this really precious like set of recipes that we always produce that are linked to our first Thanksgiving, and my sister getting them from I think her school was like Yantica, and there was like a Yantica parents like recipe book that people gave out, and my parents didn't know American recipes, so they bought it. And we have like recipes from there, and one of our good friends submitted her sweet potato casserole recipe, and we use that every year. So Thanksgiving, really important to my family. It's really important as an American holiday, and we want to talk about the tips and tricks to surviving Thanksgiving and making it better than ever.
Yeah. Where do you want to start, Ivan?
I think we start with the most important thing: cooking and cocktails.
All right.
The most important part of Thanksgiving, generally, for most people, is the meals and family time.
Yes.
So we're gonna break it down to the meals first, and then family time and how to deal with that second, especially after a midterm election in which maybe it was a little weird for your family.
Maybe.
In any
case, maybe it wasn't.
For me, Thanksgiving is not complete without mashed potatoes.
All right.
Yeah? I'm gonna talk to you about, for me, what makes the perfect mashed potato.
Yeah, go for it.
So the perfect mashed potato, you boil your potatoes. Now, here's the difference.
What kind of potatoes?
Do you want to quick boil them? Do you
we
have
gotta
time?
start with potatoes.
What kind of
What potatoes?
I like a nice Idaho russet potato.
Okay.
If I have the time, I'm gonna just like scrub the dirt off of them bad boys, throw them into the water, and let them cook with the skin on. Your mother told me this trick because in my family we never do that.
Gotta be smashed.
See, I disagree with this completely. So boil them, skin on for a very long time. When the knife goes through, you take them out. You wait a little bit for them to cool off. You can basically peel off the skin, and then you put it through a ricer.
Yeah.
If you haven't had riced mashed potatoes, your life is about to change because a ricer aerates the potatoes, makes them really fluffy. Next, what do? You throw in, while the potatoes are still hot, you throw in some butter. Now, if you want really creamy mashed potatoes, what do you put in there? Not just butter, but milk. Everybody makes the mistake of putting in cold milk. Wrong. You throw that milk in the microwave for it to heat up to slightly or vastly above room temperature. Make sure it doesn't boil or boil over, because it can do that. Monitor that shit. and throw it in there until it makes it creamy. So now you've got aerated mashed potatoes, salt, butter, and heated up milk, whole milk if you can, and that shit's gonna taste amazing. Now,
Sounds
if you want
good.
to up it another level, throw in some fresh, like chopped fresh dill.
Cool. That sounds pretty good.
I know you disagree with my mashed potatoes, but those are
No,
mine.
those are that I honestly, dude, I don't really care for. Look, I love potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
You hate
I
mushy
don't.
food. I know
I
this
don't
about you.
really care for. Look, I love mashed potatoes. All right, you don't have to. You don't have to ask me twice to eat mashed potatoes. All right, but I just don't fucking care for cooking potatoes. It's so much effort, dude. It's so much effort. But that being said, that sounds like a great way to make mashed potatoes. I personally like using garlic with mashed potatoes. I think it's important.
Good point.
So I think the
My
best
family is
way.
anti-garlic, so I can't do those. Also, if you want to
Why?
do the mashed potatoes, you peel them, cut them into quarters, and throw them in.
Yes,
They'll be done in like
cutting your
20 minutes.
potatoes before you throw them in the water will have them cook a lot faster. But you do end up losing a little bit there by they end up I think a little.
They soak up too much moisture.
Yeah, they soak up a little bit more of the moisture. I personally, if I'm gonna put the garlic in there, you can either like saute it on the side, but that adds a different dish to cook or to clean.
Mm-hmm.
So fuck that. Because hold on, all right. So running the kitchen efficiently during Thanksgiving is number one priority. Don't fucking use any extraneous, intensive, like boring or like no any like extra utensils. Like, oh, I gotta scoop out something of this. Let me use a clean spoon. Like, you already used the spoon, and if you know what you used it for, as long as it wasn't like touching something that would contaminate anything, use that spoon again. Look, if you don't have a fucking dishwasher, Thanksgiving after Thanksgiving can be a fucking nightmare. So running a clean ship is really important.
Even if
right?
you have a dishwasher, pots and pans, annoying
Yeah.
as shit. Always plan out your meals.
So
If you
exactly.
have potatoes for multiple dishes, double that shit into the same pot if you need to boil them. If you need to bake things and everything's baking at the same temperature, throw that shit all together.
Oh, that's important. But yeah, like I was saying, you can saute it on the side if you want to get fancy. You can get some crispy garlic in there, or if you have a like a zester, I like if you zest garlic or like grate garlic, it really intensifies the flavor, actually, like as opposed to just chopped up garlic. I think it must break some cells open from the garlic, because it like releases it intensifies the spiciness of the garlic, which I think is really cool. So I would do like one or two, depending on how much potatoes you made, 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, and that's a lot to mix in. It releases the oils of the garlic. That's, I think, is the specific part.
So you would do fresh garlic into there, just like thinly grated?
That's what I would do.
Out?
But that's me. I understand. I would totally. I eat any mashed potatoes.
He doesn't own a like crushed black pepper. So my dad abhors all spicy things. So I can't even
pepper
do
isn't even
like fresh garlic.
Okay, well, that's what you get
from
growing up in Soviet Russia, right?
No, yeah.
It is actually what you get for growing up in Soviet Russia. That's.
It's exactly
I'm sure he'd love it otherwise. Anyways, that's.
What's
funny.
another dish for you? What's the mainstay?
Actually, typically my family does, because my mom was a chef. We do like and my dad is Italian American. We do like a super different Thanksgiving from, well, not super different, but just different things for Thanksgiving. Like, for instance, my family doesn't even do mashed potatoes. I think I adopted all of my habits in terms of cooking from my mom. So maybe maybe she doesn't like making mashed potatoes, and I'm pretty sure that's why we don't have it. But yeah, we never have mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. What we do is, and we'll get to the turkey later. We like roast the turkey, sure. But we will have, like, like roasting potatoes, like the smaller ones, the red ones that Divine Hailstorm might be talking about. We'll roast those with garlic and a little bit of butter, some pepper and salt, and just, it's really simple like that. But we'll also have like she likes to go to the farmers market on 14th Street in New York. They at this time of year, it's the harvest. This is why Thanksgiving is so important to Americans, or
A
traditionally why it
cornucopia,
was.
some might say,
Yes,
of veggies.
so many root vegetables, right? And of course everything else. So we'll do like a she'll get multiple carrots that all have different colors, which is pretty cool, like purple carrots,
Oh yeah, the rainbow
orange
carrots. I like the rainbow carrots.
and she'll roast those as well with butter and I think a little bit of sugar, so it ends up caramelizing a little bit. So
How do you feel about parsnips added to those?
parsnips are great. Yeah, that's definitely what she adds too. I always forget. I'm not very familiar with cooking root vegetables unless they're Chinese, so that's something I need to up my game on.
No, so a few years ago, my sister was like, we're going to introduce roasted root vegetables. And we did like parsnips and turnips and potato and carrot. It was delicious.
Yeah, you gotta go, dude. Suggestions. There's some pretty crazy looking carrots in the world, and potatoes too. If you talk to a Peruvian, they can tell you there are like 500 types of potatoes.
There's a potato museum in Lima, Peru.
Yes,
over 300 different varieties of potatoes. If you're Russian and you go there, awesome.
Asparagus
gotta
sounds
have
good
some
too.
asparagus, says Divine Hailstorm. Asparagus is something I've never had on the dinner table. It's like
for Thanksgiving
is like for Thanksgiving it's like a green bean something or other.
Cool. So another thing that my mom will always do, because she was a chef, is she'll always try to do like an over the top, really nice appetizer for the meal. So and then we'll have Thanksgiving after. So, and it typically ends up being a pasta because my dad is Italian. So let's see. This year I think she's going to do, she has a butternut squash, and I think she was going to make some gnocchi, and make like a butternut squash, like a thinned out butternut squash soup, so it's almost like a sauce. Put that on the bottom, and gnocchi in there, and then I forget what else she wanted to put in it. But that type of level.
Gnocchi? Just like regular, like standard. I was wondering, could you make a butternut squash gnocchi? And when you make a gnocchi that isn't just regular gnocchi, are you supposed to blend potato and whatever that ingredient is? Because, for instance, a while ago, I made potato and sweet potato gnocchi. And my potato gnocchi, super light, fluffy, awesome, delicious. But my sweet potato gnocchi, because of all the like, sweet potatoes have a lot of liquid in them after you boil them. They were a lot heavier. So I was wondering if did I just need to like cheesecloth all the excess liquid out?
That could help for sure. That could help for sure.
Or did I need to blend regular potato and sweet potato for a quick fix?
I would definitely do both of those things, actually. Blending it together, just it will reduce the flavor that you're trying to get from the gnocchi, but it'll help retain the texture and form factor. So I think
Which means I need to go to Amazon, just buy a shit ton of cheesecloths.
Yes, cheesecloth is good.
Hold on.
But yeah, so we'll end up typically have like a really nice appetizer, and then and this is like of course, like most families, this is just the end of the year. This is the meal that we go all out for. So it's not like we eat like this every day or anything. But so we'll have like basically that, and then The carrots, potatoes. I think sometimes we have like, like we'll have the stuffing, sure. That type of stuff always there. But we'll have cranberry sauce, which my mom always forgets in the refrigerator, so it never gets put on the table. That type of thing, it has the quirks of the family. And then we'll have
Question: cranberry
yeah.
sauce. Does it need to be out of the can or freshly made?
I prefer freshly made, but I know people get all pissy about that or whatever. I don't really care.
Let us know in the
comments
Twitch and or comment section below. How do you prefer your cranberry sauce? Because this is a hotly debated topic in America.
Right.
Just letting you know.
Okay, so we've discussed what meals are gonna be there, but how do you handle the kitchen, Ivan, during Thanksgiving?
Man. Just to throw in one thing, I know a lot of people don't do.
Yeah.
Like a sweet and spicy Brussels sprouts with some bacon.
Yes, I was gonna say either we do like a Brussels sprouts or we'll do like a leafy green, like Swiss chard or escarole, that kind of chopped up vegetable with bacon as well. That's what we like to do. Onions maybe sometimes. Shallots.
Cut off the stocky end. Of the Brussels sprout and then cut it in half.
We got
mix it up with some maple syrup.
Sounds good.
Yeah, dude. So, speaking of cranberry sauce, I personally love the jellied cranberry sauce out of the can. Mm-hmm. I know it's like the most Soviet thing that I enjoy because it's like Soviets obviously had Jello. A lot of processed food, and the jelly cranberry sauce is obviously like a super processed food, but pretty delicious. Okay, the Pilsner I had is Marsbrau Pilsner from Bamberg.
Didn't know that was an area in Germany. That's cool. Very exciting. We should all pick that up if you get the chance. But Ivan, should we talk about cooking technique more, or are we gonna organize this kitchen? What's going on?
So
and then you want to talk about cocktails.
How many chefs do you normally have in your kitchen? I know that you. Is it just your mom making all the dishes?
Pretty much, because she will not let me in a fucking kitchen ever.
In my house, it's 3 people.
Yeah,
making the food generally. Recently, it's been 2. It's my mom and myself. My sister has come in the past couple of years later, so she might throw in some help. She might not. Maybe this year more than regular.
Cool.
But it's a lot of. Like, 3 cooks in a kitchen is a lot of people.
For a non-commercial kitchen, yes, it is a lot. And my mom sees that so hard. She was a caterer, and she was also worked in a professional kitchen, and she fucking knows that shit is a lot. And she might as well have fucking written the song "Too Many Cooks," you know? She might as well.
I do know that song.
Song.
It's important when you're doing that everybody recognizes what everybody's doing. Communication in a professional kitchen is key, and in a like high anxiety, high stress moment like prepping 18 different dishes for Thanksgiving is also key. You got to talk to each other. You got to keep each other upbeat. I'll let you get into the technique. I'm going to get into the fact that everybody needs to be happy. Happy
Definitely.
Cooks make better food. So,
I think so.
As the youngest sibling of 2 siblings in a family of 4, I'm the comedian of the group. I keep the peace and make the jokes. So I find my responsibility as making sure that nobody gets too overstressed and making sure that they don't yell at other people in the kitchen. I find that's my role, and that leads to better results in the food quality. So
Definitely.
I recommend making sure that you do constant music that is agreeable to everyone. It might not be your taste in music, but it should be something that everyone agrees to.
Important.
At least minimally.
Important.
Like the least common denominator music Play some Christmas tunes if you have to. My family doesn't care for that, so do some other stuff. And just keep the mood light. Make sure that everybody knows that we're doing this for each other. In the end, we're going to be enjoying each other's food, and that's what's important. So make sure that everybody is kind of happy in the kitchen, and part of happiness in the kitchen is making sure there's a good atmosphere. Part of it is making sure that things flow properly. So Julian, take it away.
Okay, so those are all really great points, Ivan. Keep everyone happy. Morale needs to be high. It's a battle out there, man. It's war. This is Thanksgiving, bitch. No, it's all right. I mean, honestly, you're just making a bunch of different dishes at the same time, so it can get hectic. That's why my mom prefers to just do it all by herself, because if anyone else is in the kitchen, lingering around, drinking your beer, sipping your wine, get the fuck out, bitch. Get the fuck out of the kitchen. That's the fucking mentality you need to go in here, right? You can have your drink, but just get the fuck out of the kitchen if you're not cooking, all right? So that's why organization's really key. You need to have all the valuable utensils out. You need to have a lot of counter space, and you need to have you need to know where the kitchen towel is at all times. So this is my tip. Always put, if you're taking something out, if you're using something that's going to be used a lot, like, I don't know, a spoon or a kitchen towel. I use kitchen towels to get things out of the oven, that type of thing, tin foil, that whatever. Make sure you put it back in the same spot every time, because I've noticed this habit whenever I'm cooking a lot of meals for I sometimes will do like a dinner party or something, so therefore I have to cook everything. So I have to cook everything, and that means there's a lot of shit going around, flying around the kitchen. So I've noticed a habit of mine is to be completely scatterbrained and just like use something once and then put it down there and then go over do something else and then realize I needed that kitchen towel. So now I need to look for the kitchen towel. So putting it down in the same spot and knowing where that spot is kind of, I've been trying to break that habit as I'm moving towards hopefully being in the cooking industry at some point. I'd like to be a little more organized with my approach. Having a game plan is really important. And then otherwise, just being aware of the time. People get hungry, throwing out, giving people food when they need it. That's important. Keep everyone happy, like Ivan says, don't be afraid to try things as you're going. And also,
we could talk about in terms of how do you plan out so obviously people are saving their major appetite for the dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't smoke a lot of weed before the dinner, so you're just super hungry anyway, you got to plan out to keep morale happy, like little charcuterie breaks, throw out some cheeses, something interesting, but also kind of light, that doesn't require a lot of work, and that people who are like watching the football game or whatever can come in, grab some snack, get out. Kitchen staff.
Yeah.
Also happy, and nobody's bugging each other.
Mm-hmm. Important
Good
stuff.
Point.
Otherwise,
this Thanksgiving podcast is going to last like an hour and a half. By the way.
I know we should speed some things up here. I guess I have nothing else to talk about.
It's all important stuff. This is the megalodon of Thanksgiving podcasts.
Finally, chop some weed and season that shit all over the turkey. You know what I mean? That's what Divine Hailstorm says. Sounds like a good plan to me. You can
throw it into the butter and make weed mashed potatoes.
Hell yeah. That sounds great. But other than that,
better and sweeter things than savory, though.
Another thing.
Other than that,
what was I about to say? I was about to say something, but I lost it.
You were talking about techniques and then throwing out food for people.
Having someone to wash the dishes is really great. Having a dishwasher, really great. So, clean as you go. I'm sure anyone who tells you how to cook will tell you that, at least. That is really a great key to having a happy Thanksgiving, because if you put the meal out, you have your meal, You're drunk, you're high, whatever. You watch the football game. It's 8 p.m. We're all really tired because we just had all that turkey, all that tryptophan in us. And then we got to look at the kitchen to see what's going on in there. Holy shit, if there's a fucking pile of dishes, no one's going to be happy. So clean as you go, very important tip. That's what I suggest. Otherwise, from that, we can cover cocktails, Ivan, if you want.
One last point I would say to cancel out the tryptophan, don't negate coffee as a flavor for desserts. Coffee is a very earthy based flavor profile. It goes with a lot of the things that people crave with a Thanksgiving meal. I
hate coffee, but I love how it smells. And I know it goes well with everything.
A coffee cheesecake with like a coconut whipped cream.
Cool.
Boom. Out of the way. Done. In terms of cocktails, now here's the thing. What are we drinking these cocktails for? I've got 3 different cocktails listed. You tell me how you feel about these categories. I call the first one Buzz. This is like before the meal, maybe during the meal. Just keep yourself a nice happy level. The second category, Dinner. And the third category is Fuck this shit.
Yeah, once everyone starts talking about politics, that's when you need it, right? I agree. Yeah. Those are great categories.
All right, so I'm going to go with seasonal drinks for the Buzz category. Mm-hmm. Now, these are drinks that might not be super alcoholic, but they are perfect for the weather, the climate.
And very inviting. Inviting drinks.
Also true. We are from the New York State, so it's cold up here. If you're from a warmer climate, these might not be essentially for you. But when I think Thanksgiving, I think slightly colder temperatures. We've talked about this drink a lot on this podcast recently. It's become one of my new favorites. Hot buttered rum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
And
so good.
The way to prep this drink is that you're going to prep this drink ahead of time for the most part. And then on the day, all you need is rum and hot water and all of your prep materials. Before you get into the day, depending on how many people are going to be there,
we're like halfway through them, so don't worry.
So the hot buttered rum is essentially a shot of rum, fill the glass with hot water, and throw a pat of a cinnamon sugar butter on top. How do you make that cinnamon sugar butter? First, you're going to take a stick of butter, or more, depending. A stick of butter is about 12 or so servings. So measure out accordingly for how many drinks you're going to have to make. Mm-hmm. Throw a stick of butter in with like a third of a cup of sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon and maybe like a quarter teaspoon of nutmeg. Mix that all together like with a whisk or a blender. Make sure that the butter is at room temperature so it really creams everything in. You can do a fork if it's at room temperature. Sometimes people have mixers, that's fine too. You can whip it up if you want like a lighter consistency. The essential thing is you want everything to blend together. You're going to take some wax paper and you're going to take all of that butter, kind of form it into a cylinder and roll it into that wax paper and put that in the refrigerator for at least a day before you serve. It can be made up to a week before Thanksgiving, so like we can start making that cinnamon butter right now.
Sounds good.
And that's the great thing about it, because it's a very simple drink as long as you have like a way to heat water quickly. I recommend electric kettles.
What are you, from London?
It's a thing that all of my family owns now.
I know.
Okay,
we have one too. So it makes sense.
So an electric kettle makes it really easy, really quick. It's not too sweet, not too strong, but it lasts for a while, and it heats somebody up. So if you've been out in the cold watching the local parade or whatever, you come in, you have this cup. It's a great way to go around. Another seasonal drink I like at the time is basically anything to do with stronger, earthier flavors. Mm-hmm. You're going to go with some spiced rum, some bourbon, like deeper whiskey drinks. So a good Manhattan will go well right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Julian, you're a Manhattan fan. How do you make your Manhattans?
Am I a Manhattan fan? Never
I
said
thought
it
you
was.
said you were a Manhattan fan.
I don't necessarily say I was, but I can't say. I mean, I would honestly. I don't know much about the Manhattan. I just know it has sweet vermouth in it. That's where I'm at.
Okay.
And
So,
orange peel,
Manhattan,
maybe.
Yeah.
You
So
can
Manhattan is
garnish.
whiskey, sweet vermouth, some Angostura bitters, like
Yeah.
a dash of them, orange peel, maraschino cherry. What it basically does is it creates like a slightly sweeter version of a whiskey drink, which can be served neat or on the rocks. Some of the
Divine, let me answer this question. So Divine Hailstorm is a lovely viewer of my Twitch channel, and I play Soul Calibur on it. So Divine Hailstorm has asked me, how do I guard impact again, lol? Let me tell you, buddy. You gotta press forward and guard at the same time, and it has to be in a correct frame window of their attack, and it also has to be a specific type of attack that's coming in. But yeah, you might not be able to guard impact every attack, is what I'm saying. So you might be doing the correct input at the correct time, but it might not be the correct attack to guard impact. Anyways, Yvonne, as you were.
Yeah. The key to a good Manhattan, other than proper bitters, is you muddle up those cherries.
Bitters and cherries.
So you get the right bitters, the right cherries. It's not too sweet. It's not too alcoholic. It's a great mixture of the things. Those are two examples of seasonal-ish cocktails. The hot buttered rum is definitely a seasonal cocktail. Manhattan will blend really well with the flavors that you're going with, so it's a drink that people could have before they go into the meal or during the meal itself. But when we get into dinner cocktails or drinks, I'm thinking about wine. Yeah. And I know, Julian, when we traditionally think about turkey...
I love wine. Yeah.
Turkey is a bird. Poultry is generally drank with a white wine. But Thanksgiving meal overall is a bit heavier.
Definitely.
So maybe a red wine really balances out those flavors. What are some wine suggestions that you could think of to really round out that Thanksgiving meal? And, side note, this is a way to impress the in-laws. You bring a bottle of wine that really will complement what the meal is going to be. This is a way to impress significant others' families.
Definitely.
Or
Definitely.
in-laws. Like, for instance, when I've been to different places, I've either been in charge of like the charcuterie cheese plate or bringing wine or something. And this is a way to really stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, so my family typically drinks wine instead. Like, we never really do cocktails, Yvonne, so that's why you have to forgive me for not knowing much about the Manhattan. I know what's in the drink. I just don't typically make cocktails for myself anymore that often. But I love a good cocktail, right? But I definitely love
my
wine.
aloe vera gimlet later.
Yeah,
You'll
no,
like
I
that.
think a cocktail, like a really great cocktail, hard to beat that. But also, a really great wine that you enjoy is also really important. So I think, as you said, you've encompassed the flavor profile. You have to think about flavor profile when you're choosing a wine in order to pair with a meal, right? So you're right that typically you will choose a white wine for poultry, such as chicken or turkey, obviously. And that's a great place to start. So I think that if you don't want a cocktail, maybe you're not getting all schwasty with the cocktails in the beginning, you might want to start off with some wine. And that's typically what my family does. We just open up like a whole case of wine. It's like gone if everyone's there. But this year, actually, we're only going to have 4 people, including Nikki and I, my girlfriend. So we have a much smaller event. But I would typically start off the night, if I was just going with wine, probably like a Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, perhaps. I think those are really inviting wines that are, have a more acidic flavor, or Pinot Grigio has a more acidic flavor, Sauvignon Blanc as well, that are a little more fruity.
Those are all three white wines.
I'm sorry?
Those are all three white wines.
Yes, those are white wines, sorry. And I think that those are really great aperitifs, perhaps. Have a little nice appetizer with it, something to munch on.
Do you prefer a oaked or an unoaked Chardonnay?
I like oaked Chardonnay personally, but I understand the stainless steel approach there. I think it provides a cleaner flavor, but I also like a little bit of oak hints in there personally. But
so I like the oakiness of Chardonnay with a richer meal. So oakiness, to convert it to layman's terms, it makes the wine taste kind of like butter. So when you're getting a Chardonnay oaked versus unoaked, oaked will have much more of that buttery mouthfeel. It'll taste kind of like wine mixed with butter when you're drinking it, versus a unoaked steel, Chardonnay, which it'll be much more crisp. You'll taste the minerality and the acidity much more thoroughly in those. I know my sister much prefers the unoaked. My dad loves oaked Chardonnay, and it's been a big battle. But I think it's fine to have with this kind of meal.
And you're specifically referring to the process in which the wine is aged. So when Chardonnay is made, and most wines, of course, you're gonna, after you've fermented the grapes and that sort of stuff, gone through that whole process, you put it in a barrel to age, to develop the various flavors that come from the wine. And so you can choose to put that wine in an oak barrel, a charred oak barrel, I believe, or one that's, depending on the Chardonnay. I know they do use some used whiskey barrels as well sometimes. And you can put it in an oak barrel, or you can put it in a stainless steel barrel or vat, I guess, to age. And that's where the differences sort of arise in flavor profile, as you can imagine. I think the best wine, when we switch over to red wines here, I think the best flavor profile for Thanksgiving, it's all right, is Pinot Noir, personally. I think
those cherry flavors, the fruit forwardness, it's a really good blend. It's kind of like a cranberry sauce as a wine.
It is, I think, the perfect grape for Thanksgiving, as it definitely gives you okay, for reference, Pinot Noir is probably the lightest red wine that you can have. I think personally it's not necessarily so dry or complex in flavor, but it still gives you, like, if you get one that you like, of course, it gives you like a bold, robust flavor that you can get from other, like, Shiraz or what are the other ones? I don't know. I like, those are the ones that I can think of right now that are really like dry Merlot. that's the one, right? From
I love Merlot.
I love Merlot
too.
Merlot
don't has a bad rap
because of Sideways. That's why.
Literally one movie.
I know.
Ruined the Merlot business.
It's funny. But yeah. So Divine Hailstorm says hard apple cider. What's your opinion on hard cider, Vaughn?
So for me, pure hard apple cider is too, pure hard cider is too sweet. So if you're gonna make apple cider, I would do some dark spiced rum and apple cider. I would do a mix, actually, for Thanksgiving. A cocktail or whatever that in England is called a snake bite. So I would do half of an apple cider, like a woodchuck, basically, or whatever you have available,
Mm-hmm.
and then a slightly darker lager type beer.
Yep.
Nothing, no IPAs, nothing super bitter and hoppy like that. A lager, the heaviest I would get is towards like a Pilsner, and blend that with an apple cider or like a hard cider, and do a half and half mix. It creates a really good beverage. I personally like Guinness and Strongbows mixed together, like a half and half mix.
Okay.
It makes a really delicious drink.
If
And not
you-
too sweet, not too bready.
When you come to visit next time, I've got a place to take you called the Bad Seed Tap Room. In New York City. It's in Brooklyn. It will completely change your mind on ciders, I think.
Fair enough.
I think
I
this
like a
place is
cider.
great.
I just always think they're too sweet. So if this place can change my mind
This
on
place,
that, I'm
the
really
ciders
happy.
are not sweet, and that's the craziest
good.
thing. It's nuts. It's amazing. I've never liked hard cider, but that was because I was drinking Angry Orchard or whatever the most common brands are out there. Those are
Angry Orchard,
quite
Woodchuck,
sweet. For
Stella
for me,
Artois
anyways.
Cidre.
Oh yeah, Stella. I thought that wasn't going to be sweet, but then it was. But yeah, so Divine Hailstorm says beer sounds better for Thanksgiving than wine. Of course, a nice beer would go great with a meal like this. You know, there's a lot of butter flying around everywhere, so there's a lot of, some meals and mashed potatoes, a great beer combination there. I think typically I would go with because it's such a heavy meal, I'd go with a lighter beer. I wouldn't like to have
too.
Thanksgiving with like a stout, for instance, or
I would stick to a pale ale, lager, IPA.
Yep.
Somewhere in that range.
I would even
Something
go
more
Pilsner,
on the
but
hoppy range.
That's where I would go for beers.
I think the Pilsner is the outside of like heaviness that I would go to.
But Ivan, we've talked enough about cocktails. This is a hungover podcast. We love drinking.
My last one is the fuck that shit category.
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot about that.
The fuck that shit category isn't even a cocktail. The fuck that shit is just
put
taking
the
shots.
vodka on the table.
Vodka is Russian Standard. Gin is Hendrix. Your bourbon is basically how much you're willing to pay. If you're looking for a lower range, like a Buffalo Trace, great. But if you're looking for something that's a bit classier, a bit on the higher side, I would go with Balvenie Doublewood 12 year.
I'm sorry. I have a question for you, Ivan. Okay. Cat's out of the bag. Both of our parents are divorced. Does your dad do you do Thanksgiving as a whole family? Or your parents together?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So do we. Keep going.
It's real
so this it is real weird, and I don't know if other
real
people in this
strange.
country do that, but maybe that's a thing that it's really weird. So that's where this category completely comes in. Just saying. Keep going.
Yeah, the fuck that shit category used to come in that it used to be weird between my mom and my dad. Now it's weird because my mom and my dad are very good friends, and my sister hates their politics. And it's just a mesh of a lot of different things. This is a great flow. The fuck that shit category is like, you're done being the peacemaker. You don't give a fuck. You just want to escape whatever it is. This is what I'm saying.
I'm not listening.
Russian Standard Vodka, Hendrix Gin, Balvenie Doublewood 12 year. It's literally the only scotch I have been like, oh, that's good. There are a lot of different scotches.
Smooth.
Smooth.
It's so smooth. Scotch.
Or Tupidi. Stay away from Islay. Islay scotches if you don't like to get just like hit in the head with shit. If you're a fan of getting concussions all the time, go with an Islay, very peaty. You're up your alley.
Oh boy.
Table
Scotch.
talk. When we come to the table and the conversation is swinging wildly, what the fuck do you do? Here's the thing. Is the table at your Thanksgiving awkward, being is that your parents are divorced?
Yes.
And now all of you are together. Is the conversation weird?
Surprisingly not. I think my parents are two very mature people, and they realized they didn't love each other anymore, and then they divorced each other. Or at least that's the story I believe. um, anyways, so I think they're very mature about it, but we usually have a like an intermediate person in there. This year is gonna be super weird. So it's literally my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, and me. And my parents are divorced.
And your girlfriend doesn't count as outside of the family anymore?
She does. It's yeah. I mean, well, oh fuck, I don't know. I don't know. It's like
this is the important part. Like when your significant other no longer counts as somebody that's
she's been around for
outside
a while.
of the family. Yeah. They've been around for a while.
Yes.
Then people aren't on that best behavior toggle.
Oh, that's a good point.
So
we'll see.
Then becomes much more difficult.
For instance,
this year I have to go through Thanksgiving dinner and then drive over to my significant other's Thanksgiving dinner to enjoy the rest of the night.
Double town, huh?
Guess what that means? I don't get to enjoy the fuck that shit category because I have to fucking drive.
That does suck, actually. Big factor that is a non-factor in New York City because no one with a logical head drives, anyways, in New York City. So we all get drunk. I think if it's gonna go down, it's gonna start from my mom's side. That's what I gotta say on my parents. But when that does happen, like. Typically, we usually have like my cousin and his family and his wife over, so he's not going to be there this time. I don't really know. We've never had this situation arise, actually.
How do you think you will avoid hot button issues? Will you avoid them?
No. There's going to be too
much wine. And if you don't avoid
my mom is swift, man. My mom is swift with the wine, so it really... It hits hard, and we all know, as we're all adults in this chat room, right? Wine is the easiest way to unlocking your emotions. It is the worst.
I have no idea how your mom can drink so much. If I drink as much as your mom, I would be dead. Your mother is
my mom is like
a fascinating person that should be studied by science. She's 5 feet tall.
Yes, she should. I have no idea how she goes to work the next day either. She's 5 feet tall, small Asian woman, and she can down like 3 bottles of wine. Easy. Downs wine, literally what I was saying. She drinks a lot. So, or when the wine's flowing, she will drink a lot.
But she doesn't even get that drunk. That's the thing.
She doesn't.
I don't understand.
She's really good at hiding it. So how would I avoid
Number one suggestion.
Yeah, you tell me. I don't know how.
My number one suggestion is make sure that a TV is on in the background.
Fair enough. Let's go change the channel.
A, you can always escape to it. B, you can always direct everybody's attention to, hey, look at this football play. If people are into football, your life is solved.
That is great. Oh, man. I guess I gotta try that. Keep the football on there. My dad will watch it at least. He says suggestion. Wine gods for life. Exactly. The true suggestions come from suggestions. In the chat. Yeah, that is a really good idea. And so maybe keep the TV close by to the dinner table, I guess. If that's a possible configuration.
No, at the dinner table, now you're fucked. Now it's about, because I don't think that the TV stays on during dinner. Yes. That's my assumption.
Okay.
This is like the pre or post dinner. Keep the TV on.
Yeah.
Everybody can direct their attention to it. You can walk away to it. When it's dinner time, this isn't an option. So Julian's suggestion for avoiding a fight. I am really bad and non-confrontational. So
my whole life growing up, I'm an only child, and my parents have always had many different parties and dinners, sit down dinners, that type of thing. So I'm very comfortable at the dinner table around my parents, and adults talking, that type of thing. Not that I'm not an adult now. But I'm usually pretty quiet at dinner. So I the way I envision my Thanksgiving going is my girlfriend, who loves to talk a lot, and my dad, who also loves to talk a lot, and my mom chiming in. So it's going to be them three talking the whole time. I don't think. Do I have any suggestions?
Let the people talk.
Yeah, that's typically where I go. Let the people talk. The easiest way out. Hopefully, shit doesn't hit the fan before the meal is over, because the easiest way out is to start clearing the table. That's what I suggest. But if shit hits the fan while you're eating, while you're carving the turkey, or whatever you do, while your mouth is full of food, maybe just go to the bathroom. I don't know. I don't really know what to do.
Here's my suggestion. Yeah. As I have been in the role of, I don't know,
the
in
mediator,
between peacemaker and mediator,
yeah,
and like only person who isn't willing to like get fired up about things the majority of the time, which, as everybody in my life knows, is weird because I am super passionate and opinionated about everything. All the
That's
other
why
times.
we have a podcast.
Yes, but when I'm with my family, I tend to make sure that my opinion doesn't come out necessarily. And
nice.
Here's
Reserved.
the reason why. My family, I will never be able to change their opinion because my parents think that they are older and smarter than I am. And my sister thinks that she's older and smarter than I am. So nobody's opinion is going to change based on what I have to say. So I'm always ready to intervene with either a joke or a non sequitur, or like making sure that everybody feels like, hey, I'm secretly on your side, even though I'm not going to say anything right now.
Keep it
like,
cool,
give
man.
them a wink, give them a nod. Yeah, I totally agree. And like,
that's hilarious.
Hide your face and be like, yeah, I totally agree. Or like text them, like slide into the text and be like, yeah, you have a great point. And then also make sure that the other side thinks that you're in their corner, unless it's super racist, in which case,
just
like, maybe don't
you
have
should
to talk
leave.
about this right now.
Maybe you should leave.
You should learn some things or two.
Yeah.
But like, if it's like, for instance, the big topics at my table are Russian intervention in political things, and Trump. So
classic.
Basically, I'm just like, Russia didn't do everything that Americans say they did. Also, Russia probably did something. So my opinion is super middle ground.
Yes.
So I can be like, hey, Russia totally did something to my sister, whose opinion is that Russia is the worst in terms of intervening in American politics. And I can turn to my parents and go, oh, Russia didn't do everything that they're saying. This is crazy. And the median term that I can say is just like, isn't it crazy that Russia's the enemy now? And everybody's like, it's crazy that Russia's the enemy. It's really hard to be a Russian American in America. And it's just like, now we have something that we can all band together about and dispute with other people. The main thing is also to have somebody else that you can turn to and be like, hey, I have something that's completely different that I want to talk to you about. Please talk to you, like, make it awkward on that person. That other person also has to know that it's going to be awkward for them the whole night, but it's going to alleviate all of the pressure on everybody.
Well, I think problem solved there. That's clearly going to come up on many dinner tables or lunch tables, depending on what time you do Thanksgiving. This year, I'm sure Russian intervention will come up in many conversations.
Oh my God. My dad said the other day, never mind. He sent me the most ridiculous, he sent the whole family the most ridiculous text messages I have had in at least a year from him.
Oh, boy.
So we're really gearing up for this Thanksgiving.
It's going to be a fun Thanksgiving 2018. One for the books, Ivan. Is there anything else you wanted to cover? I guess we didn't go over cooking the turkey, but we've also gone almost an hour and a half. Well, no,
Make
we've
sure
gone
you baste
an
that
hour
shit.
20. Yes. Okay. Let's just do it. Let's just go
Salt,
over.
pepper, baste it.
Yeah, salt,
That is-
pepper, sure. But you want to get like some garlic powder, some onion powder in there. Rub it in on the skin. Don't forget your herbs. You got to stuff that shit in the
How do you feel about honeyed jalapenos under the skin?
That's probably pretty good. I think generally, unless you're putting an excessive amount of things on this turkey, a lot of the flavors don't really come through because it's such a large bird. So it's really just using the bird as a cooking vessel can sometimes help. For instance, like the stuffing, if you stuff it with stuffing, that stuffing does end up tasting better if you put a bunch of herbs
So
in
you're
there
a
as well.
stuffing inside person as
I
opposed
think
to a stuffing
no.
outside person.
No. Hold on. We definitely have a lot of stuffing that was not cooked in the bird. I'm just saying the stuffing that was in the bird does end up tasting different, at least, than the stuffing that's outside the bird.
Okay.
Lime juice in the turkey. Why not? Look, so an important thing to do with the turkey is to try to separate the skin a little bit from the meat. You gotta get in there with your hands. So I think a true tip is do yourself a favor, buy yourself a box of disposable gloves. This is gonna make your life so much easier. Put those bad boy on, and then you can just do whatever you want. You can defile this turkey. So, salt and pepper everywhere. Rub it on. I think a little bit of onion and garlic powder as well, rubbing it everywhere as well. Don't worry, those spices won't burn because as you baste it, they kind of just fall into the juice. So we're basting it now with some onion and garlic powder, juice, turkey, and some water. Definitely get some whole garlic. Might as well just like de-skin an entire head of garlic. I know, Ivan, we can't have garlic on your dinner table, but I suggest you do it. You can put some of those under the skin as well. Don't be afraid to put the herbs under the skin. The skin protects the herbs from burning too much, and you can put them in the carcass as well. But definitely baste every like 15 minutes for sure. Don't miss a basting time period because your bird's going to dry out. Make sure you thoroughly baste it, and it's really important.
But make sure you preserve the heat in the oven on top of basting it.
Yeah,
So make sure when you're doing the basting, it's quick.
Yeah, look, definitely important. That's true. Your oven does end up losing a lot of heat when you open it. That's why I suggest you start out at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes, get everything going. Then we tune it down to like 375 or 350, of course, Fahrenheit, and that's really important as well. And then thoroughly cook the turkey as well, depending on the size.
Frozen or fresh, Julien?
Fresh, dude. But if you can't get a fresh one, get the frozen one. Gotta go fresh. Everything's better when it's fresh.
It's true.
Is it not
Except
true?
For shrimp. I think shrimp is fine either way.
Well, shrimp has to be frozen to. I think all seafood is frozen secretly unless it's caught from like a farmer's market. If you're getting it from a grocery store, I think it secretly has been frozen at some point. Anyways, enough on do you want to talk about anything else? Do you have anything else to talk about?
No, my dude, I think we covered a lot of the things.
We covered
if you
the
have
entirety of
some
Thanksgiving.
more questions on tips and tricks about Thanksgiving dinner, you can do it right now in the Twitch chat. Otherwise, we will only answer them next year. Thank you so much for listening to this, but we have one more segment for you, so don't tune out now. Every week, we end our show in a segment called Hungover Radio. And we are looking for you to submit to us your work that you either worked on or a friend's work that a friend worked on in terms of producing, playing, etc. And then we would give it to the people as some free advertisement. Sometimes we get some people's work, other times we don't. And in those cases, we get to choose what we want to listen to. Generally, it's a video game song because we don't want to get copyright strike, and that's an easy way to avoid it. So, Julien, what'd you come up with this week?
Of course, I have to come up with one, but I haven't come up with one until just now. I don't know why I chose this song, but we're gonna listen to it. It is the, Jump Up Superstar from Super Mario Odyssey. I feel like Super Mario Odyssey came out around Thanksgiving. I mean, I think it came out in October, the end of October. So I always think of Mario games during this time of year, the holiday season and whatnot. And so I wanted to play this song now for you all. I think Sounds it'll good. Be great. Go ahead and enjoy the song. And we hope to catch you guys next week, maybe. We'll see. I know you have to travel places because your Thanksgiving is not where you are. I'll be back on Sunday. You'll be back on Sunday? Okay, so we'll be back on Sunday next week live, and of course on Monday next week for all the people who choose to listen to after. Otherwise, if not, thanks so much for coming out. I hope you guys learned some things. I'm one of your hosts, Julien.
I'm Ivan. Thanks so much. Goodbye.
Peace out.
Here we go, off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails? It's freedom like you never knew. Don't need bags or a pass. Say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Oh, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't feel a shed a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. So let's all jump up super high, high up in the sky. There's no power up like dancing. You know that you're my superstar. No one else can take me this far. I'm flipping the switch. Get ready for this. So let's do the Odyssey. Odyssey, yes, see. 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 Odyssey, Odyssey. Spin the wheel, take a chance. Every journey starts a new romance. A new world's calling out to you. Take a turn off the path. Find a new addition to the cast. You know that any captain needs a crew. Take it in stride as you move side to side. They're just different points of view. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. Come on and jump up in the air. Jump without a care. Jump up 'cause you know that I'll be there. And if you find you're short on joy, don't fret, just don't forget that you're still a one-up boy. So go on, straighten up your cap. Let your toes begin to tap. This rhythm is a power shoe. Don't forget you're the superstar. No one else can make it this far. But go through that stash. Now you've got panache. Oh, let's do the Odyssey. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump time.